Uncle was surprised by Damien's suggestion, telling him that he was the one that did all the work, which makes him wonder whether it was actually okay for him to do the finishing blow. Damien tells him that this was a present that he had prepared for Uncle. Chippy, on the other hand, was urging for the boys to quickly kill the queen, since she might recover. Seeing that the queen right now was a present from Damien, Uncle agrees to his request and raises his hammer. With just a single swing of his warhammer, Uncle blew away the queen's head completely off her body. The moment he does, the system notifies him that he had killed the queen. He raises his warhammer high in the air as Damien praises him for the nice shot. Uncle couldn't help but laugh, feeling the excitement of killing such a powerful beast. A bright light started to surround Damien. He had leveled up to 71. Not only that, he also received various crazy rewards from being part of a party that killed the queen. He received a Lion's core, blood, an awakening bead and 100,000 gold. But looking back at the fight with the queen, Damien didn't just receive experience points or items from killing her. He was using mana for a vengeful spirit's arrow to make it into a tri-beam. And in doing so, he was able to create an area through epidemic rage, to expand darkness spiritual food fruit. He had basically obtained a new skill. After recalling what he did, the boys started to congratulate one another over a job well done. Before they were done, Uncle started to look for something in his pocket. He pulls out a red gem in the palm of his hand and presents it to Damien, telling him that this was something that just entered his inventory. Damien was stunned to see what it was. It turns out to be a bloodstone. Its description goes like this: a transparent gem that shines an ominous light, contains the blood abilities of the ancient spider kingdom. Although most of the abilities of the gem have been destroyed after much time has passed, the inherent mana of the queen, which has accumulated over several hundred years, is booming with power. It contains a captivating beauty that will capture anyone's gaze. Damien knew that bloodstones were gems that are discovered in boss monsters who are named rank or above, and are mana stones that contain the inherent ability and traits of the boss. Unlike the artificial materials that alchemists make, they are rare because they are created in the bodies of organisms with high intelligence and ego. This is why even before Damien had regressed, they were very expensive, and also, he had a lot of fun with them. Instead of taking it for himself to have fun again, Damien recommended Uncle to take the bloodstone to the Adventurers Guild, which would allow him to get a free pass to Gold Tier. Uncle was impressed to hear that advice from Damien, who adds that he will be able to get a lot of money from selling it, but he advises that getting a free pass for the Adventurer certificate is way more beneficial. Hearing that advice, Uncle decides to go with what Damien suggests. But there was something concerning our boy. He knew that they had taken a long time to defeat the queen, which made him worry that Uncle's friends must have been waiting for quite a while. But Uncle shrugs Damien's concerns away, telling him that those old men were probably fine being on their own. As Damien recovers from the powerful slap from him, Uncle couldn't help but think that the whole raid was super fun, making him unaware that a lot of time had passed. Thinking about it deeply, this was all thanks to Damien, so with his talent, Uncle decides to propose something to him. He wanted Damien to play with him for a long time, which confuses our boy. This is when Uncle formally suggests to Damien that he should join the clan he was going to make. The system notifies our boy that Uncle was showing high levels of likeness towards him, and wants to become friends. The scene changes to a place called the Principality of Pharma. We exit an armor store where our boy is now decked out in a new set of clothes. Looking like a player from Assassin's Creed Origins, Chippy questions him on why he needed a new set of clothes. Damien reveals to him that the crow armor he was wearing the entire time became like rags after fighting the queen. Even though he lost the clothes, he was still happy over the raid, since it was quite fun. Another reason was because of Uncle, who invited him to the clan, which he didn't reject. After all, joining the clan was Damien's main goal. If anything, he felt sorry for what Uncle had given him before they parted ways. In a flashback, Damien was shocked to hear what Uncle was offering him besides the clan invitation. It turns out to be the loot from the queen, where Uncle happily gives them all to our boy. But Damien still didn't want it as he had nothing to exchange for the loot. So instead of taking it, Uncle decides to use it as activity funds for the Blood Alliance he was creating for later. Soon enough, our boys were walking towards a massive teleportation gate. As soon as they exited the gate, they found themselves in a new place, covered with multiple towers. This place was called the Mage Tower Street, called Ivory Tower of Truth. It's a place where you can find many rare items you can't get, even at the trade center. Mage Tower of Wisdom, researching in-depth inquiry and enhancement of mana. Mage Tower of Vision, researching magic scrolls and progressive experimental application of enchantment. Mage Tower of Dimension, researching other-world adventures and developing multidimensional and parallel world theory. Mage Tower of Traits, researching complete understanding of monsters and objective theory on evolutionary genealogy. There were many towers available in this place, but to Damien, there was only one that he wanted to go to. As he continues to walk past the towers, a sudden bright light catches Chippy's attention and also blinds him, causing our boy to shout for Damien's help. As soon as Damien casted his own eyes on what was causing the bright light, his eyes were soon affected as well. Covering his eyes, Damien knew what it was, a tower that shines so bright that you might go blind looking at it. It is called the Mage Tower of Alchemy, and it's the gold storage of what seems to be all of the treasures in the world. Before Damien had regressed, it used to be called the Gold Tower, where only money ghosts obsessed with alchemy and transmutation gathered. There were also rumors that if you entered, your pockets would be cleaned out. Regardless of those rumors, Damien decides to enter the tower anyway, as it was the place he was looking for. Entering the tower, Damien was greeted by someone dressed in a golden white robe. He welcomes our boy as an otherworld adventurer who is searching for the truth. The greeter introduces himself as Arwen, a probationary alchemist of the Mage Tower of Alchemy. Damien was startled to see a probationary alchemist, who was dressed fancier than the priests of the 6 orders. Arwen questions him on the reason why he visited their Mage Tower. Damien replies that he wanted to meet Sir Renos. Hearing the name he wanted to meet, Arwen recognizes who it was. Damien reaffirms that he wanted to meet Sir Renos, who is called the Hand of Gold. Based on Arwen's awkward reaction to Damien's request, he could see that he was acting. Arwen immediately apologizes to our boy, saying that Sir Renos was quite busy recently, so it would be hard for general people to meet him. Hearing that sad excuse, Damien knew the truth as he could see past Arwen's business smile. In truth, Arwen's mind was probably filled with thoughts like, Sir Renos is not someone a beggar like him can meet. Damien also knew that the person known as the Hand of Gold is a core character who runs the Mage Tower of Alchemy, so if you weren't someone of high status, then you cannot meet him. Arwen then offers a separate solution. If he still wanted to meet Sir Renos, then Damien would have to pay a separate deposit and make a reservation. But Damien immediately rejects the offer, and starts to look for something in his clothes. He lays a huge pouch onto the table in front of Arwen, asking him if this was enough. Because in Damien's mind, they are the same when it comes to moving through the logic of money. Instead of accepting the bribe, Arwen humbly rejects it, saying that the Mage Tower doesn't accept bribes or payments. Those words didn't matter to our boy, who angrily tells Arwen to open the pouch first. With his trembling hands, Arwen reluctantly agrees with what Damien wants and slowly pulls the pouch open. The moment it opens, a bright light shines out from it, stunning Arwen and causing his mouth to open wide. He was confused by what he was seeing, an endless amount of jewels ranging from different sizes and colors. With a smile on his face, Damien simply tells him that the pouch contains one big bill. Hearing that it was one big bill, Arwen automatically converts it, and figures that it meant 1 million gold. With a gangster-like look on his face, Damien tells Arwen that if he wanted all this gold, then he needed to guide him to see Sir Renos right now. The bribe seems to work as our boy moves on. An announcement tells him to please hold on tight to the handle, we are rising to the top floor. It turns out that he was now on a moving platform. Chippy couldn't believe his eyes while Damien tells him to stay still as it was dangerous for him. Chippy was amazed by the sudden technology. He questions Damien if he could make the thing he wanted here. Damien tells him that that was the most important part. Looking at all the moving platforms in front of them, Damien was sure that he would definitely be able to make it here. Even after seeing these 100 floating stones, he knew how advanced the magic engineering is here. He also knew that those floating stones were made by embedding high-quality monostones at the bottom. Just one floating stone alone is worth an astronomical amount. The announcement soon informs him that he has reached the 50th floor, and has arrived at the master class. He enters a certain room and is greeted by a glowing ornament. The lion head had a magic circle all over it, as the system asks Damien if he wanted to activate the magic circle. He happily agreed with the question and a bright light started to appear at the door he was standing in front of. Before they knew it, both Chippy and Damien were teleported to a different place. They looked around, wondering where they were exactly. But soon enough, they noticed someone standing in front of the window in front of them. Damien talked to the stranger first, greeting him before asking if he was the one he was looking for, Sir Renos. The stranger remained silent after hearing Damien's question, but quickly turns around, showing a Gandalf-like appearance. He tells Damien that his face was full of anxiety and was a pilgrim who searches for the truth. Hearing those words was alarming to Damien, as he was confused over the cult-like fortune-teller vibes that the wizard was giving off to them. But the wizard continues to tell Damien not to worry, as he will become their signpost, for those like him, who are lost. He finally introduces himself as the Mage Tower's master, the hand of gold that represents the Principality of Pharma, Sir Renos. As he sat down in his seat, he questioned Damien over the reason why he had come all the way to their tower. Damien reveals to Renos that he wanted to ask for an excellent opinion from the most outstanding alchemist, so there was no other way than to request an audience with him, Sir Renos. But Renos wasn't sure about the audience part, until Damien questions him if that would be alright. It turns out to be fine, as Sir Renos was aware that Damien had given them quite a huge amount for their research. Damien brushes it off, saying it wasn't much and just basic etiquette, but he knew that since when exchanged, the jewels that he had given them would be worth tens of millions. So he needed to get his money's worth. Other than money he had spent on his family and friends, Damien wasn't the type to waste a single dime. Because that is his creed. Because he opened his eyes widely, Sir Renos calls out to Damien, questioning him on why he was opening his eyes that wide in front of him like that. Since earlier on, the old man was able to sense that Damien was different when compared to normal adventures. Hearing that, Damien was confused. The old man even noticed how comfortable our boy was sitting in front of him. Damien was impressed. He knew that Sir Renos was no ordinary person as well. He had caught a gaze that he had on his face for maybe a fraction of a second. Damien decides to apologize for his reaction, saying it was because he couldn't hide his excitement after seeing Sir Renos' face, since he was famous. The old man still hesitated to accept Damien's reason, thinking that he had a strange gaze on his face, but decided that he might have mistaken it due to using too much mental power talking to a VIP yesterday. Moving on, Renos wanted to get to the point. He asks Damien about what it was he wanted. Our boy thought about it for a second, saying that it was something that couldn't be easily made. Hearing that it was hard to make, Sir Renos was pissed off as he found it an insult. He questions Damien if he actually knew who he was. This is when Damien started to kiss his ass. He recounts the achievements that Sir Renos had. He knew that he was the hand of hold, that can make something out of nothing, the living legend of alchemy, Sir Renos. Hearing about his own achievements made the old man happy, so he questions Damien once again, asking him if he really thinks that he was unable to complete the item he was speaking of. Our boy, in ass-kisser mode, wonders if there really isn't anything Sir Renos couldn't make. Hearing that, the old man was pumped up, knowing that Damien had also invested a huge sum of money, and that he was the type of person who returns as much as he is given. Feeling that he had fallen for the trap, Damien whispers to him if he had heard about an item called World Tree's Tears. Hearing the name of the item caused the old man to panic. The World Tree's Tears was an ingredient of hero rank. Even seeing it would prove to be difficult, as it was protected by fairies, due to the World Tree's crystals that sprouted through the will of causality. The old man was quick to ask what Damien was going to use the item for. In his mind, he questioned if Damien was trying to get the crystals of such a holy tree with just a few words. That's something that cannot and should not happen in the Arcia continent. But Damien wasn't going to let this chance go, and continues to push the old man to create the item. Sir Renos had to look out the window, averting away from Damien's strong sparkling gaze from before. He knew that making the item with advanced alchemy is difficult. But as Damien appears beside him, the old man reveals that there was one problem with making it. Hearing that there was a problem, an angry aura rose from our boy as he gave the old man the bombastic side eye. Sir Renos could feel the immense threat coming from Damien's eyes, so he quickly explains the problem to his ears to get him to understand. After explaining the situation, the old man hopes that Damien would understand that they don't have the ingredients at the Mage Tower right now. And even if he wanted to make the item for Damien, it would be difficult. But as the old man continued to complain about the lack of ingredients, our boy started to pull out something from his subspace. Within a few seconds, he presents to Sir Renos a huge sack. The old man was shocked by how big it was, and questions if Damien had kidnapped someone and placed them inside. But our boy assures him that it was fine and tells him to open it. Upon opening the huge sack, the old man was shocked by what was inside of it. It turns out to be the Pendant of Light, the Marble of Awakening, Fairy Wings Powder, the Conch of Abyss and other glorious items. Sir Renos could only wonder where Damien had gotten all of these precious ingredients. Our boy simply replied that he bought them, which shocked the old man even more. In his eyes, he could see that our boy was a huge rich kid. Figuring out that he had fallen for the trap, the old man finally realized that this was what Damien wanted all along. Damien quickly shakes Sir Renos' hand, telling him that the ingredients were a present, and that it should be possible for them to create the item right now. But after seeing all this, the old man turns his face away, without answering the question. Seeing that reaction, Damien heads to the doors of the room, and locks them. With an evil demonic look on his face, both Chippy and Damien stared back at the old man, demanding the world tree's tears. The old man finally realizes that the reason why Damien locked the doors was because he was going to stay here until he made the item.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.